welcome everybody to our second session of Cleo's Web EDI webinar series. Just do some introductions really quickly. My name is Sam Wojcik. I am a solution architect here at Cleo, supporting our go-to-market teams around ideal solution fits in terms of what our customers and prospects are looking to do and understanding where Cleo can support them from a technical standpoint. Pat, would you mind doing a quick introduction?
Yeah, I'm Pat Gergen. I'm a director of customer success here, specific for our Web EDI product. So stepped into this role about 9 months ago and still kind of building the team out. But if I haven't had the opportunity to meet you, great to meet you, and hopefully looking forward to working together in the future.
Thank you, Pat. And again, for anybody who's late to join, today we'll be covering best practices around invoicing processes, along with diving into some of our ERP integration capabilities. Go here.
Yeah, and then just again, kind of welcome everybody. If you do have questions, feel free to leverage the Q&A kind of in the bottom of the Zoom there. The one ask that we do have, if you could put your name and your company name as a part of that chat, that would be very helpful. We can see the attendees, but sometimes they don't post within that chat. So we just want to make sure if there's any open action items that Sam and I can take the appropriate actions for your open questions. And this will be recorded and shared out if you'd like to share that with any other resources within your company. And then just before handing it over to Sam to really kind of dive in, I did just kind of want to highlight the customer success mission here. Again, I'm happy to find time with anyone that would like to connect one-on-one afterwards. Don't need to read this whole thing to you, but really in building this team out, maybe just kind of highlighting the last sentence here of really we want to hopefully build out, this lasting relationship built on the trust, transparency, and growth. So we hope so far that your Cleo experience, potentially formerly, Data Trans, has been positive, but always here to be an additional champion for any of your companies going forward here. So great to meet everybody here virtually. And Sam, I will hand it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Pat. So just before we get into our live demonstration today, I just want to cover some of the topics that I will be focusing on. Specifically, we will cover how to manually create invoices, along with some best practices around completing those invoices and ensuring that they're sent out in a timely fashion to meet any potential customer or trading partner SLAs associated with those invoices. Secondly, we will cover how to batch create or batch respond with invoices as a nice way to streamline some of the invoicing processes, especially as order volumes start to get higher and there is a need for more operational efficiency around these EDI practices. Following that, we will cover the smart folders, how to create smart folders for trading partners, as well as any trading partner specific document type, and cover some of the nice practices around these smart folders and how they can increase some organization if your EDI footprint is growing and you're working with a handful of different trading partners within the portal. And then lastly, around the topic of invoicing, we want to cover a feature that some folks may be unaware of, but it is the Cleo InvoicePay and how we can support the financing of some of those invoices for partners that are especially on 60-day, 90-day, or even further net payment terms, allowing our customers to get money faster for those orders. So for any operational needs, they can have cash on hand as opposed to waiting for those long payment terms. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the demo here. So let me go ahead and stop my share. Perfect. So here we can see the home screen or the inbox of the Web EDI solution. As we can tell right off the jump here, we can see all of the inbound files that we've received from our trading partners, along with information around when those files were specifically received, when any other associated shipment date with those orders is, total value of an order, along with the corresponding documents that are needed to follow that specific initial order or EDI 850. For our example today, I'll be using a Walmart purchase order, as Walmart is one of the more common trading partners that we come across in the Web EDI space. So if I go ahead and just click in on this purchase order, we can easily see really easily all of the information that's included in this purchase order. So we strip out all of the EDI guts and make it easy for our customers to understand what is specifically being ordered, as we can tell here by all of the line items, along with specific shipment information, sell to information, really all of the data that's included in that initial purchase order. We will find a field to input that information here, well, right within the portal. So again, you don't have to be a technical user. You don't have to understand EDI and all the technicalities that come with it. But just understanding the simple purchase order structure, what sort of information should be included. And again, we will clearly lay all of that out directly within the portal. Now, in terms of creating a corresponding invoice for this purchase order, all you need to do in the top left corner here is hit this respond button. Here we'll see all of the documents that are associated with this trading partner. So for Walmart, we can see that we have a handful of documents that we can reply with. Now, this will change on a per trading partner basis, depending on what documents are even allowed for your trading partner. For example, if one of your trading partners doesn't need an 824, this option won't be included in the dropdown. For the sake of the invoice, I'll go ahead and select the invoice or the EDI 810. Give this a second to populate our invoice here. And right off the bat, we can see that a handful of the fields have already been pre-filled in. Now, the reason why this happens is because all of this information that is pre-filled in, we're able to pull from a previous document. Most commonly, it is that initial purchase order. So for any information that we know that needs to be included in the invoice that we have access to in any of the previous documents, so that could include the 855 purchase order acknowledgement or 856 advanced ship notice, as those are more of the common documents seen in this space. All of that information can be pre-populated here. Secondly, any information that may remain static. So any of these fields that are never ever going to change, commonly that is a ship to location, we can hard code those fields to eliminate any additional manual data entry. So for example, if we're always going to be shipping to this address of 123 Main Street, and it's not being pulled from a previous document because maybe it's not included, what we can do is hard code those fields in here. But after every single blue field or required field is filled out, and we can scroll to the bottom so we can get an idea of all of those fields. From here, all that we would have to do is hit the send button in the top left corner to send this out to our trading partner. So again, the process is very straightforward. We find that initial purchase order, we hit the respond button and select our invoice. And then we just need to validate that all of the blue fields or required fields are filled out. And then from there, we can go ahead and hit send. The blue fields are just a nice way to ensure that we avoid any data error issues. For example, if we send an incomplete invoice to Walmart, we run the risk of being fined by Walmart for sending them bad data. All of the white fields in here are optional. So I would communicate with your trading partners to understand which fields are going to be required and which fields are not. For any of these optional fields, if they're not necessary and they are taking up space, again, feel free to reach out to our support team. We can have certain fields stripped from these documents entirely to help potentially declutter each of these corresponding documents. So that was just a quick tour into how to handle this process manually. However, the next area that I want to cover is more of the batch creation of these response documents. And this is especially valuable for folks who are seeing increased order volumes and are not leveraging any backend integration today. So to batch create these invoices, what I will do is I will select all of the documents for this exact same trading partner. I highly recommend not cross-pollinating in a sense of selecting all of your orders and batch creating them at once, but simply select all the orders for the same trading partner. And then if we click this checkbox on the left-hand corner and then right-click on the file, I can choose this create response. And as I showed in that initial response dropdown, we similarly get a dropdown of all of the documents that we're allowed to respond with. If I go ahead and select invoice and we give this a second to load, what this will end up doing is it will create 2 copies of the invoice for those corresponding purchase orders. So again, if during the middle of the day, I usually get all my orders in the morning and I have some time maybe around lunch to go ahead and get these corresponding documents created and sent out, I might choose one trading partner to go and get these documents created for to help eliminate from some of that workload. So for example, I choose Walmart. I want to get all my Walmart invoices out. Let me select every single Walmart purchase order. I'll do that create response. I'll choose the invoice. And at the top here, I would have all of those invoices created. From here, it's super simple to go in and fill out all of these blue fields and start taking these response documents down in chunks as opposed to handling everything one by one. I would recommend this for customers that have more consistent invoices where maybe a lot of the data isn't going to be changing across each purchase order. As if there is a lot of variability, I would recommend doing each one by one to ensure that the right data is ending up on the right invoice. As in some cases, it can be overwhelming if perhaps you're completing 8 invoices at once and there's a bunch of data that needs to be pulled from other sources. Again, we really want to eliminate any potential data validation or data errors, as those can lead to chargebacks. But this batch processing process can be very valuable for a lot more of those consistent processes around invoices. So again, I batch created my 2 invoices. What I'll do from here is fill out all these fields, and then I would just hit send on this invoice, jump to this invoice, do the same process, and hit send. And boom, we have 2 invoices completed for those 2 purchase orders. As I'm going through this, again, if any questions pop up around best practices or how to potentially streamline some of these processes, feel free to throw them in the Q&A section, and we'll make sure to save some time at the end to get to those questions. The next area that I want to cover is our Smart Folders feature. This is, again, a nice way to organize specific trading partners or those trading partner doc types. So if I go ahead and click in on this Walmart purchase orders, we'll see those 2 corresponding purchase orders in just the purchase orders. So again, it's a nice way to filter out any of that noise or volume from those other trading partners, especially as that EDI footprint grows. Similarly, here we can see all of the advanced ship notices that we've created for Walmart. So if there's any auditing purposes or somebody in a different department needs to go in and view specific document types, we have a nice way of organizing that for them so they don't get overwhelmed within the portal. Right here, if I had just right click on this Smart Folders button here, we see we have 3 options. We can delete existing Smart Folders, edit existing Smart Folders, or create new Smart Folders. If I go ahead and click on the Create New Smart Folder, we'll see that we're able to name it here. So I'll just name it Smart Folder 1. And we can choose any of the inbound or outbound documents. So if we want to filter by specific document, we would need to select inbound or outbound. However, if we just want to filter by a trading partner and we want to see all of their volume, then we can select inbound and outbound. We can create a rule here. I would recommend trading partner if that's what you want to organize by. However, you do have the ability to organize by potentially all of your document types. So if somebody in your finance department wanted to view all of the invoices, you could just select the document type and choose the specific EDI 810. But if we want to do this on a per trading partner basis, and we just want to see inbound documents, again, we can go ahead and choose our trading partner here. I can create an additional rule as well for this smart folder to add more of that sort of conditional logic to how these smart folders work. So I have my trading partner is Amazon, and I want my document type to be all of the inbound orders that I receive. So if I just scroll down here a little bit, I have to go and find that EDI 850. Oh, I had it there. You can just type in directly into these fields to help with finding these. But here we can see my new smart folder one, or maybe the best way to save this is Amazon 850s. Now I would have a new smart folder for all of the inbound purchase orders from Amazon. So again, I recommend just playing around with this, seeing if there's a nice way to start organizing some of these inbound and outbound document types, or for any specific trading partner, as a nice way to help organize all of the EDI traffic instead of living directly out of the inbox here. The last area that I want to cover in this demonstration is Cleo InvoicePay. The way that this feature works is that you have invoicing or financing capabilities for any of the invoices that you've sent out to trading partners. Now, to finance an invoice, this will need to occur within 5 days of when that, or excuse me, 7 days of when that invoice is sent. So in my demo environment, I unfortunately have a few older invoices. So nothing that I would be able to show in terms of the actual invoice process, but essentially, if I were to select, for example, this Bed Bath & Beyond invoice, I could choose or click this button right here in the Cleo InvoicePay column to finance it. What this will do is this will essentially send that invoice off to a third-party partner that Cleo works with called Canmon, and these invoices will be financed on behalf of them. There is some optionality to choose how much of a specific invoice you would like to finance. So you're not required to finance an entire invoice. For example, with this $23,000 order, if I only wanted to finance half of it, that is always an option. But just to give some insight into how to set this process up, there is this Cleo InvoicePay tab on the left-hand side. If I select View Account, this will take me to a separate page for all of my financing information provided by Canmon. If this does sound of interest, I highly recommend reaching out to a Cleo representative to set up some time for a more formal conversation and demonstration of these financing processes. With that, I'm going to go ahead and jump back to the slide deck, as we have a little bit more information to cover around the invoicing processes, along with a deep dive of a customer case study. Perfect. Here we are. So we wanted to spend some extra time today highlighting a customer case study of one of our customers' lunch skins. I'll go ahead and build this slide out 1 second, but just to provide some detail around the lunch skins case study, they were previously using another provider called SPS Commerce. Unfortunately, they were running into some issues with that provider, just around some of the manual processes that they were forced to do, the lack of visibility into these EDI processes around the inbound and outbound data flows, and really were causing some issues that started to affect their customer relations or customer satisfaction scores. So with their move to Cleo, some of the positives that they were able to gain include complete automation via an integration into their QuickBooks instance to automate all of those purchase orders coming inbound, which were generated as sales orders in their QuickBooks system, along with all of those corresponding invoices coming out of QuickBooks. We are able to pass those from their QuickBooks environment to the Cleo portal and automatically send them out to their corresponding trading partner, allowing them to increase some efficiency around these EDI practices. So again, some of the big things that I do want to highlight here are just the seamless integration between Cleo's web portal and any QuickBooks environment. So for any organizations that are leveraging QuickBooks today, I highly recommend at least setting up some time with a Cleo representative to understand how our QuickBooks integration works and some of the value that it can provide to your organization. Similarly, obviously with integration, we gain some automation, and that leads to just efficiency around the processes and allows for ease of scale. So as additional trading partners are added in the future, with automated processes, we remove a lot of the tedious and manual effort to have to respond to all of those purchase orders, for example, manually. So all of those purchase order acknowledgments have to be done manually. All of those advanced ship notices have to be done manually. And similarly, without integration, all of those invoices would have to be done manually. So obviously that can add some time in terms of speed to process and overall time to revenue. Again, if there are any questions around the QuickBooks integration or this specific case study, feel free to reach out to a Cleo representative. We do also have this case study on Cleo's website if you're curious to learn a little bit more in a bit more detail. So I know we only have a couple of minutes left. The last area that I want to jump to does dive into more of our ERP integration capabilities. So just a little bit around the Cleo web portal or Cleo Compliance Edition solution. The portal itself is entirely application agnostic. So as long as that solution is able to support some sort of file-based integration, or whether Cleo provides a connector for it to leverage some sort of API integrations, we do have a lot of flexibility in terms of how we're able to support automation for a variety of different backend systems. As long as your team is able to provide some sort of structured flat file or an XML file, the Cleo team is able to map that data back into your trading partner's EDI specifications to create some automation across any and all document types for any and all trading partners. So again, if volumes are getting higher, processes are becoming a bit more tedious and time consuming, and anybody who's managing these EDI processes today would like to allocate their time elsewhere, automation is a great avenue to explore, especially as those volumes start to increase. So again, as I just mentioned, with some manual processes, this can lead to potential errors. So if a user today is having to copy and paste information from one database or one solution into the Cleo portal, that runs the risk of information not being transferred properly. And if we include bad information in any of those files that we send, that can potentially lead to chargebacks and a reduction in customer satisfaction. That's where the startup module comes in. It offers our customers EDI compliance. It offers them the ability to grow that B2B footprint for any large retailers that do have EDI requirements. But again, if we reach that point where volumes start to escalate and there is a need for more automation because it is just too of a time-consuming process, we highly recommend reaching out to a Cleo representative and at least just exploring what automation could do. A big part of that process includes a return on investment. So we will help calculate whether automation is of value to your organization, as at the end of the day, we don't want to provide something that costs money for little to no gain on your side. So again, if it sounds like it's something that could be beneficial to your organization, please reach out. We are more than happy to dig into some of the details and do some math to understand whether automation would be of value. So with our remaining 5 minutes, we do want to just spend some time for any Q&A. I do want to mention that the Q&A is anonymous. So with whatever questions are provided, Those will remain on the Cleo side. So if there's anything at all, feel free to fire away. Let's see here. Just looking at, oh, I see a hand was raised. If that is in regards to any question, I would recommend choosing the Q&A option. If you don't see it at the bottom of your screen, there is a More button with 3 dots on it. If you click that, in the second row on the far right column, there is the Q&A section. Let's see here. We did get a question around merging orders onto advanced ship notices. So if that's a process, for example, you receive multiple orders that are all separated, however, they will end up on the same shipment. Cleo can merge purchase orders onto a single advanced ship notice. So that is a process that we do support. I would recommend reaching out to Cleo's support team. That information can be accessed directly within the portal through the help or support tab. Feel free to give us a call. We are available on the phone 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time or over email. But our team can set up more of that merge ASN process or merge purchase orders to a single ASN process. So that is something that we do support today within the portal. Let's see. With Chewy, there is an option to ship via pallet and carton. We use the carton 856C. Can Cleo please update that so that when the 856C is successfully sent, that the icon turns green? Yes, that is definitely something that we should be working on. If that's an ongoing issue today where that 856C is sent out, however, it still shows as yellow, that could be an issue on our side in terms of how we're reading that 856C. Another issue that I do want to mention that could correspond to that is whether we're receiving that 997 functional acknowledgement back. So if a trading partner is not sending a 997 functional acknowledgement back, there is a chance that that's the reason why that stoplight is not turning from yellow to green. Let's see. Next question. For batch invoicing, if I need to delete a line item, do I need to do the change, save, close out? No, you should be able to directly within that invoice be able to remove a line item. Similarly, if the 855 purchase order acknowledgement is included, I would recommend removing that line item at that step so that we're acknowledging exactly what we plan on sending. If that document is not included, then again, within the invoice, you should be able to just remove that line item entirely. Does the batch creation also apply when doing 856s? Yes, fantastic question. So the batch response or the batch creation of documents applies to any document that your trading partner is doing. But again, this will be handled on a per trading partner basis. So for example, if you have 2 trading partners and they both do the 855, I would recommend splitting those apart so we're not creating 855s or 856s for all of our trading partners, but just one at a time. But yes, you are able to batch create those documents for purchase order acknowledgements, advanced ship notices, invoices, really any document that you have to send back to that trading partner. And then this is a perfect segue as we've just reached time. Can you provide the recording of this session? Yes. In an email following this session, I believe it will go out tomorrow or on Thursday. We will send a follow-up with the recording. And then this will also highlight our next upcoming session in June, which I will spend just a second here. So coming June 16th, we will be diving into more of our 3PL processes. So for anybody that is leveraging a 3PL today and that 3PL can support EDI flows, we have some neat things to show you on how to streamline those 3PL communications, specifically for the order and the advanced ship notice. But more information to come soon there, so stay tuned. But we look forward to regrouping with everybody again in June. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.